Yo, welcome to All Things Covered with Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Man, the name says it all. If you're rocking with us, make sure you leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, or you can watch us on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/all things covered. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get alerted of all our great content right away. While you're at it, like, comment as well. Now, let's get to the show. Boom! First quarter of the show. The show always hits differently. It feels better at the win. Skull check-in. It's time to check in with the Vikings. Skull check-in. And I know they was jumping in the stadium this past Sunday. First home game, Seahawks recap. Pat P, let's get straight to the nitty-gritty. What was the vibe like playing at US Bank Stadium for the very first time as a Minnesota Viking?
It was dope, man. It was awesome, man. The atmosphere was amazing. The fans had great energy. Defense fed off that, especially in the second half. They definitely came with it. I was highly impressed. It wasn't a seat available in the Bank Stadium. So I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to week 2 to see him bring a little bit more noise.
Man, listen, this was a huge win, a huge ball game for Minnesota. You guys started off a bit, slow. Some unfortunate things happened in the first 2 ball games that led to devastating losses. So you needed to win this ball game. You played against a playoff caliber team with a Hall of Fame-like quarterback in Russell Wilson. And I watched the game. We're going to talk a little bit more about the game in depth. But what was the feeling like, for you, getting your first win, the entire team feeling, getting that monkey off your back, being able to get that first win for this season, 2021?
It was great. It's always a great feeling once you get that first dub. But, like I always, speak about, it's a long season, I'm happy that we got the first one, but now we understand how it feels, the preparation, the work it takes to get that one. Now you got to be able to duplicate that again. For 17 weeks straight, and get in the tournament and see what happens after that. So definitely happy that we got the dub. But for me, honestly, personally, once we left the stadium, I got to the house, I watched the tape from the game, I started watching Cleveland. You know what I mean? Because
that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
We got the dub. We got the job done. Now it's all about
Cleveland. No question. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. Well said. A pro's pro. You celebrate the victory for a few hours. Now it's time to get ready for the next task at hand, which is the Cleveland Browns. Now, our producer, Debo, Eric. He was a bit nervous, Pat. He hit me a text. He said, Pat's on the injury report. I can tell. I felt the concern in the text message. I'm like, what are you on the injury report for? He was like, it's a toe. I said, toe. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I ain't heard nothing about no toe. But you was on the injury report. And one thing about Pat P, he does a great job in taking care of his body. He's already emphasized he spent around $500,000 ticket on his body. You were on the injury report. Everything was okay. I know how it is when they say questionable in the NFL, you're playing. It's like 100% you're playing. Right. Probable is like 50-50. Out, you're out. But when you see questionable, I know some people you're like, oh, is he gonna play? You're playing. But everything was okay because Eric was a bit nervous. He was a bit concerned.
No, everything was all right, man. Just had to get that little knuckle warmed up.
The big toe, the little toe?
Yeah, just the big toe.
Okay. Hey, well, you look good. You look real fast out there. Of course, you wanted to lose some weight. And looking at the ball game, you didn't really have a lot of action. One play with DK, he ran in and out a little bit. And one thing that I'm starting to notice, Pat P.
What's that?
We have a lot of listeners and watchers of the show, big time fans of the show. And I think we got some people that's tuning into what we're doing and what we're saying. And they kind of feel some type of way because clearly there's someone from PFF that seems to, I guess, some of your comments regarding PFF, kind of hit home for him. I don't know if he actually works with PFF. He might actually, work with PFF. I don't know to what degree, whatever the case was. But he had something to say about the pivot route. I mean, it happens in the game of football.
It was a great route.
Great route, great timing route, by the way. The situation of running that route, understanding and knowing defensively what you guys probably would be in, and your reaction definitely felt like he was going to jump that out. He ran the pivot out and in.
Ready to go for the out. Because
I know.
We saw, obviously they run the whip, but I think it was like 3rd and 5. So in that situation, yes, I'm thinking of the whip, but at the same time, we saw a lot of 4 outs on tape. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I got me one. Because I was already playing inside leverage. So at the end of the day, he's trying to get away from my leverage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking as a DB.
I already knew the situation because usually that's a red zone route. That's a red zone beater. You know what I mean? Be able to get that little quick touchdown. But yeah, no question. But for some reason, it was like he jumped at that play. And I'm like, you know what? It sounds like he's been paying attention to what we saying. So that's okay. Yeah, and it happens. That's the thing about a lot of fans, Pat. And
that was on me. That play was on me.
But as you always said many a times, you might give up something, but you jumping right back in the fire. Looking for action.
I can try to double move, Then I said, I'm keeping my eyes on my guy the rest of the game.
I mean, listen, outside of that play, 7 was doing what 7's supposed to do.
Right.
And that happens in the Florida game.
I don't know if they get these yards from 7. I still don't know where that comes from, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Hey, man.
The game was fun, Matt. The game was fun. We had a great time.
No question.
It was awesome. Walking through like the tunnel, because they have like these little club seats. And it's all glass. You walking in between like this restaurant.
You mean when you get to when you go to the field?
Yeah, it was dope. It was fire.
Oh, and I forgot that's your first time really experiencing that in the full house.
Yeah.
How loud was it? How loud does it get there? I never actually been to a game there, US Bank Stadium. How loud does it get there?
Wow. It was loud. I couldn't tell you the actual decimals that it was, but it was crunk. It was crunk in there.
Man, listen, the defense was flying around. And the thing about this game, you guys were able to take care of business easily without the Cook in the game. Dalvin Cook didn't even play. You know what I mean? But Madison jumped up. Oh, he had a huge game. And let's talk about some of the performances. You guys limited Curly Hurd, Russell Wilson. Second half dominance was definitely, put on display. Got a touchdown right before halftime, which is always important. But in the second half, it seemed like the defense and the offense to kind of turn things up a notch or two. What were the adjustments in the halftime for you guys to be able to come out of the halftime and just dominate like you did?
Just adjusting to some of the different things that they showed us, in the actual game than things that we, prepared for. And just making a point of emphasis, just tackling and not letting Russ, be Russ. We did a great job on our rushing lanes. We did a great
job
plastering our coverage on the back end. We didn't give up any big shots. The one pivot route that really wasn't shot, but it went for I couldn't tell you how many plays for that, but we didn't let any balls go over our heads.
Yep, and that was the issue the first 2 weeks.
Right, and
splash plays.
Cleveland, but Seattle, they thrive off plays like that. Like I talked about, I think I talked about this in my press conference that they're the lowest, time of possession team, and that's either one or two things. Either they're getting a bunch of 3 and outs, or they're putting the ball in the end zone
scoring fast,
and they scored at a very high clip. And they had us on our heels early on in the first quarter and a half, I'll say. But the next 2.5 quarters, I think we got our act together and started adapting to what they was showing us.
Man, the Seahawks didn't convert a third down in the second half. 0 for 3 in second half, third down opportunities. Defensive, man, y'all boy flying around, man. I can tell you was in the vibe, having fun. You guys were caught up in the moment on the sidelines, having fun, enjoying each other on the football field. The pass rush has been getting after it. I mean, yourself, Hitman in the secondary. everybody was flying around. And get this though, you're still not 100% healthy defensively because Barr has yet to take a snap with you guys. Imagine what it's going to look like when he gets back.
Yeah, man.
Anthony Barr.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big plus for us. So, he had the opportunity to get out there on the practice field with us last week. So,
do you think he plays this week, or
I have no idea. I don't know.
Did he? You said he practiced last week with you guys?
Yeah, he was on the field with us last week.
Okay.
No status of his. Of his playing status.
Yeah.
No question, no answer about that. But I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table when he do step on the field with us.
Yeah, and talking about another player who has been a big time productive player, Captain Kirk, friend of the show. We had him on the show a few months ago. If you missed that, show, it's in the feed. What'd you say, Kirk, Pat?
Like that,
man. Yeah, you like that. But Captain Kirk, boy, if it wasn't for a missed kick and a fumble, and if you guys were undefeated, he'd probably be in the MVP conversation right now. Man, check these numbers. Well, this past Sunday, Captain Kirk, 30 of 38, 321, 3 touchdowns. So far this season, completing 73% of his passes, 918 yards, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His passer rating is 152.4 on 10-plus yard throws this season, first among all quarterbacks. It was his 5th straight game with multiple TD passes, no interceptions, tied for the 3rd longest streak since 1950. It's his 12th game in the past 6 seasons with 300 passing yards, 3 passing TDs, 0 interceptions. That's the most in the NFL that span. He's had 200 consecutive attempts without an interception, the longest active streak in the NFL. Captain Kirk, boy, he got more numbers. Hold on. Kirk Cousins, the last 10 games where it ranks in the NFL. He's 2nd in yards, over 3,000. He's 3rd in touchdowns, 26. He's tied for 3rd in interceptions, 2. He's tied for 3rd in completion percentage, 70. Shout. Boy, he got that cape on. Yeah. Man. Oh, man, I didn't know he was doing it like that. God, I got Kirk Cousins on my fantasy team, but I had him on the bench. God dang it. Right. I had Kirk Cousins on my bench, man. He gave me 26 quiet points to on the bench. We saw Justin Jefferson wake up, 9 receptions, 112, touchdown. Adam Thielen, 6 receptions, 50 yards, a touchdown. Alexander Madison and Tyler Conklin, huge contributors this past Sunday. Huge contributors. 26 carries for 112 yards, 6 receptions, 59 yards. He totaled 171. Conklin, 7 receptions, 70 yards. That's huge production from the tight end position because remember, you lost Irv Smith Jr. Talk about those two. No, hold on. Let's go back to Captain Kirk. Let's go back to Captain Kirk, man. What is like looking at man do what he do, man? Because Pat, you've been a fan of Kirk Cousins for a long time now. He's your teammate, and man, quiet as kept, man. He's been one of the more prolific quarterbacks over what that stretch was, 10 games. I mean, he's been in the top of the list the last 10 ball games, not to mention what he's doing so far this season. But talk about Captain Kirk and the kind of vibe he's in right now.
Man, Kirk Cobain in his vibe right now. He has his own right now, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? He just gotta, make sure he maintain that focus and that laser sharp, dominance that he's performing on the field each and every Sunday.
Yeah.
To let's get as many dubs as possible. That's the main focus and goal. And that's the main
win.
That's what as a football team and head coach, as a ball player, that's what you get judged off. Winning ball games, and if we're able to showcase that each and every Sunday, we'll be cooking with some hot grease.
Yeah, hot grease. You cooking with some gas too. A gas stove is always the best to cook on. So that's what Captain Kirk is cooking on. And they talked about Madison and Conklin, man. What can you say about these guys filling in, as injury replacements, but had huge efforts this past Sunday, running the football in Conklin, of course, blocking and catching passes.
I always thought we had a great combination of backs, with Cook and Madison. Had an opportunity to see Madison throughout training camp, OTAs, minicamp. Always, show great movement, jump cuts, great hands out of the backfield like he showed Sunday against the Seahawks. And it just always was that explosive, just smooth criminal type player. And
Mm-hmm.
he showcased that, Sunday. It wasn't nothing, out of the
Ordinary.
yeah, it wasn't nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't like no, oh wow runs. It
Yeah.
was just, grinded meat type runs, just
Mm-hmm.
what they give you, breaking couple tackles, break a tackle, gain 10 more yards at the first contact, just runs like that. You know what I mean? So that was big. And he's the type of back that's built to run to control and run and have that type of running game. So you could tell that the game plan was definitely tailor made around his style of running. So I was excited to see him get off the way he did. And Tyler has been, I always thought he was. If we would have had him and Irv on the field at the same time, I thought we
Mm-hmm.
almost unstoppable because I had the opportunity to see, what Tyler was able to do throughout OTAs, training camp, and mini camp as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the hard work that those guys have put in throughout spring and training camp, it's showing off.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Madison, he's always been a guy who's been more than just a replacement when
Yeah.
given the opportunity in years past. And the thing about Madison, when people realized that Cook wouldn't participate this Sunday, fantasy related, they were jumping to go get Madison and put him in their lineup because the expectations still were about the same. Like, oh, Madison is a guy who can kind of give you what you need production wise. And he was able to come through in that element for you guys. And of course, when it comes to fantasy related content, people who put him in the lineup definitely were smiling from ear to ear. Another situation that emerged at the end of the game, Cameron Dantzler, he tweeted out after the game. He quickly then deleted it. I'm tired of biting my tongue about this whole situation for real. Of course, Cameron, up and coming player, second year player, second round pick from Mississippi State over a year ago, hasn't really been in the lineup. But, how do you keep a young guy like that motivated and focused on the team, especially when he's going through something individually and would like to be in more action than what he currently is involved in?
It's, especially, it's tough to, I won't say it necessarily it's tough. You just want to be able to communicate with you guys and be able to, see, what made them, come to that point, to put that out on social media versus coming to talk to one of the boys or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Because, that shows however you want to put it, as a head coach. I'm not a head coach, so I can't say, it was selfish or it was whatever the case may be, but far as, me trying to keep a young guy like Cam in the game, because at the end of the day, like I always tell him and Chris, I tell him this every day, stay ready, stay ready.
Question.
You never know
when your number going to be called.
He's going to come, and you don't want to piss away that opportunity when it comes.
No question. You want to,
like,
you want to.
I know everybody loves success, right away, instantly.
Yeah.
But it don't happen like that.
For some people.
You just have to be able to stay patient and stay true to yourself. You know what I mean? Get in the vibe, get in the zone, and knowing that, you're doing everything the right way, then when that opportunity presents itself, you ready to go rock.
Yeah. I mean, no question. I know it can be a frustrating situation, but he got to stay in the game because eventually they will call his number. And when they call your number, you don't want to be ready. And then they say, oh, this is why you wasn't playing.
Yeah. And just like last week when he had to step in and play against, the Cardinals, he played well. He made a couple plays, made a couple tackles, played great. You know what I mean? So, my main thing and main focus is making sure that I'm keeping them in the game.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's why you got that C on your jersey.
Yeah.
That's exactly why you got the C on your jersey. So just stay ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I think he understands that. And I love the fact that he's emotional about the situation because he want to be in that fire. Right. It'd be one thing if he was quiet and not really caring, but you want to be in that fire. So sometimes you might allow your emotions to get the best of you. And that's okay because football is an emotional game.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
And each and every day, you know what I mean, to be able to showcase his talent on Sundays. I just want him to continue to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It was a nice win, man. It's a total complete effort. Everybody was happy. I saw you at the end of the game on the Vikings social media page, man, the atmosphere at the end of the game fired up, man. That's how it's supposed to be. That feeling, you know what I mean? You had the mic in your hand, man. It was a good vibe. And the one thing I love, and I tell you this all the time, man, I love when guys play football, you can tell they're having fun. Well, all 11 guys are involved in having fun. You know what I mean? You doing your job, I'm doing my job. We have the results we're trying to get, and we enjoying each other. Like it's a party. Like it's a party. You know, I'm coaching flag football. You know, second and third grade. Tell, hey man, we not in the library. This is the one time where you can talk loud, say whatever you want to say, and do it for 4 quarters. You're not in class. Let's have fun. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I love when I watched the game this past Sunday, especially in the second. I said, they in their bag right now. They in their bag on both sides of the football. Hey, when that momentum get in your hands, boy, it's tough for the other team. Yeah, you can't see momentum, Pat, but you know you can feel it.
Oh yeah,
no question. Hey, you feel that when that momentum starts switching in your favor, man? Let's hold on to it. Yes, and you guys held on to it this past Sunday, and let's see what's next this upcoming Sunday. Next up for the Vikings, 1-2, the Cleveland Browns, they're 2-1 this season. They just beat the Chicago Bears 26-6 on Sunday. They also beat the Texans. They lost to the Chiefs week 1. Dominating performance defensively, Pat P. The Bears only gained 47 yards of total offense. They had 9 sacks. Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. It's the fewest by any team in a game since the 2004 Browns when they had 26 yards against Buffalo. You guys are playing at home once again. I know US Bank is going to be rocking, but guess what? You get a chance to play against your homeboy.
Odell?
Yeah, your LSU mate who we've had on the show as well. If you missed it, it's in our feed, YouTube feed, podcast feed. OBJ joined us last season while he was injured. Great conversation with us. But Pat P, get ready to go against his homeboy, OBJ. His first game was this past week. He was injured, ACL, of course. He's back in the lineup, did some pretty good things in last week's game against the Bears. Baker Mayfield, you know, what's your evaluation of Baker Mayfield? You know, he's known to be a scrappy guy, pretty talented guy. He's doing a pretty good job for their offense right now, but overall evaluation of Baker is what?
You know, I had the opportunity to watch this game. Who did they play? I didn't watch. I watched when they played the Kansas City game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the game I watched last night, and you know, I think he's continuing to grow.
Yeah,
you know, continue trying to find his way in the offense. Continue to trying to understand the throws he can get away and can get that he can and can't get away with. But I mean, he's a talented quarterback. You know, he can make all the throws. You just have to make sure that he's smart about those throws, not putting himself and his team in harm's way, because they have enough talent around them. If he don't make a costly mistake or if he's not turning the ball over, they can win a lot of ball games. So ultimately, you know, the Browns' success is, you know, weighed on him. You know what I mean? And that's how you should want it as being an NFL quarterback. You know, so but for thus far throughout the season, I don't know what his stats are right now. I know he in that in the game that I watched, he was playing unbelievably until the last 2 drives. You know, just kind of seemed out of whack. I don't know if he got banged up. Seemed like he was favoring something. And then that last interception to the corner.
That was Kansas City game you're talking about. That's week 1.
Kansas City game.
Yeah,
that was obviously kind of boneheadish, but you know, those type of things happen when you are that type of player. You know what I mean? He, like you said, scrappy player, play with a lot of emotions, and don't ever want to play to die. You know what I mean? That's a you know, that's an and a curse. So you know, I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table here Sunday. I'm sure we're going to have a pretty good game plan, great game plan intact. To be able to attack these guys from all different angles.
Yep. And when you look at the wide receiver unit, Jarvis Landry has a sprained MCL. He sprained that in week 2, so he's going to be out a few weeks. So the number one guy is OBJ, who just came back from an injury. He had 5 catches for 77 yards. You guys faced off in 2019 when you were with the Cardinals. You had a pick in the end zone while covering OBJ. Just talk about the evolution of Odell at the wide receiver position. I've been saying for a long time, I think he's one of the more talented wide receivers we've seen to come through this league. He's been dealing with a few injuries, but just talk about the evolution and what he brings to the game and what type of wide receiver he is.
Yeah, Odell's very special, man. When he's healthy and on the field, like almost like how you said, how you talked about, when the Raiders are winning, the league is such a better place. You know what I mean? And just when Odell is in the game making those catches,
Yeah.
up on streets of 100-yard games, it's just almost like the league it's in a different light. It's in a different atmosphere. It's a different vibe. You start seeing them more on TV. You know what I mean? You just, everybody starts to, love them some Odell Beckham. You know what I mean? And, obviously fighting through injuries, it's tough to get back to what you once was, because now you're having second thoughts or second guessing. Can you trust the certain injury or the certain, whatever you may injure that it will hold up in the line of duty? So, I think he will eventually get back there. When we had him on, it seemed like he had a very clear head, very level minded. And he seemed like he was in a very good space. So I'm excited to see what is Lord's willing, knock on wood, that he stays healthy, seeing if he can get back to that Odell once that everybody fell in love with.
Well, now it's time for my prediction. Pat P, I was pretty close with my last week's prediction, by the way, against the Seahawks. I was really, really pretty close. But I'm going to give you 27-21 Minnesota Vikings victory. 27-21 in favor of the Vikings. Let's see how close I get this week. Yo, Pat P, man, you're now in year 11. Think about that. And I know you got 5 more good ones left in you, but eventually you're going to be where I'm at. And where I'm at is wanting to look and feel good without having to put in the 2-a-day efforts at the gym. Be on a strict diet or drink these weird teas that don't taste too good that they have out now. That's why I really enjoy using Noom. Noom uses a psychology-based approach to help create a healthy balance that's moldable to your life. It doesn't burn you out because their approach is sustainable. Since I started using Noom, I definitely understand my relationship with food better. I don't regret when I have some of that lemon pound cake that I love. But I know if I can control cravings and just change a few food shopping habits, it will leave me with more energy to increase my mood. And no need to fear ruining the whole program with one day off, because I've definitely had a few of those. That's because Noom will help you get back on track. All you need is a daily 10-minute check-in. That's it, folks. 10 minutes just to check in. No grueling early mornings or huge chunks out of your day. So start building better habits for healthier, long-term results. Sign up for your trial at noom.com/ATC. That's NOOM.com/ATC to start your trial today. Now it's time to check in around the league. Outstanding, entertaining weekend of football. Sunday night was unbelievable. The Packers traveled out to San Francisco. Packers went on a last-second field goal. Man, it's very, very tough to lose in that fashion. But I can tell you this much. I know Minnesota Viking fans were rooting for San Francisco to win that ball game, and you have been newly introduced to this rivalry. Granted, you haven't played against Green Bay. Their fans don't like you. Your fans don't like them. That's how it's supposed to be. But newly being, a newly Viking, are you rooting for losses from Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay when you know they're playing, or if you're able to watch them? Have you adapted that mentality? Like, yo, I don't like them. They don't like us. They need to lose.
Oh man, I always had the mentality. I don't care what division we're playing. I want everybody in our division to lose.
I like it. Yeah.
I want everybody in our division to lose. Point blank. I want everybody to go 0-16 or 17 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and it would have been great because if they would have lost, you guys would have been in the same situation. Everybody would have 1 loss, 1 win, 2 losses. Of course, Detroit. They're over right now, but you still got an opportunity to do what you need to do. So, but that was an entertaining game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. That last drive was unbelievable, and that's why he's the type of player that he is. Outside of the Packers, this upcoming week, Brady versus Belichick. I know player don't go against the coach, but let's keep it real. You know, these two guys were tied to the hip for a long, long time. Tampa travels to New England to play against the Patriots. That will be on Sunday Night Football. Man, when you look at this debate, who meant more to the other? Who do you think meant more to the other? Did Brady mean more to Belichick, or Belichick meant more to Brady?
Man, you know, it's so interesting because if you think about it, right, I think with Tom having the opportunity to be around Bill Belichick, it helps him become a better player in a sense of understanding situational football, understanding not putting the team in bad situations. You know, not saying Tom didn't have that at Michigan, because I didn't have an opportunity to watch him at Michigan. You know, obviously we know the competitive nature and edge that Tom has, and that, you know, he's actually out there on the field putting in the work. You know what I mean? But I think, you know, with him getting, you know, not leeway, but, you know, some guidance on how to handle certain situations from his coach, you know, paid a huge dividends in his success, you know, believe it or not. You know, but at the end of the day, for not tiptoeing around the question, I'm going to go Tom Whitmore.
Hey, I can tell you this much. When you lose Tom Brady, you don't have an actual quality replacement in place. Because remember, they signed Cam like literally before camp. So they were in a disadvantage because you had structure at the quarterback position for 20 years and then you don't. And now you're trying to scramble to go find structure. No surprise to see the struggles from the New England Patriots, and still to this day, and the total opposite for Tom Brady, going into a nice assembled team offensively in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we're going to see. It is Sunday Night Football. Over under, they actually shake hands and have a conversation. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to see. Last big time, also another big time news in the NFL before we transition to 7 questions. The NFL just announced they will, for the very first time, have a Monday night playoff game. What time? Monday night. Don't pay. That's what I'm saying. They don't think about the players. They don't think about the players at all. They don't care nothing about no players. Listen, so if you play on Monday night, because you know in playoff football, wild card weekend, you got games on Saturday, Sunday, and that's usually it. But if you play on Monday night, you might play against a team that just played on Saturday. They got ample amount of time to rest. You coming off a short week to get ready for a round 2 playoff game. That's a disadvantage, right? Well, I mean, what do you think about that disadvantage for players?
I mean, I think that's horrible, man. I understand we want to get more games on TV, but we also got to level the playing field here. You know what I mean? Like, that just don't make any sense at all, because like you said, what if we play a team that's playing on Saturday? You know, I don't know how it's going to end up far as the brackets, what numbers play each other. But, you know, I just think, you know, I don't know. I just think that's a bit much, because to say, all right, it's the higher seeds that's playing on that Monday and they didn't play the 2 games before. So, all right, now they're at a disadvantage because now the teams that didn't play Saturday, now they kind of got, what is that? They'll get more rest that played on Monday. You know, so I just think, that's wild, man.
That's wild.
I hope we don't play on Monday.
No question.
That's crazy.
Hey, the best way to solidify, I know you won't play on opening weekend. You get the number 1 seed, you know you got to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's only one team in each conference going to get a buy, because there's not 2 teams anymore. Boy, they don't care nothing about the players, man. Safety ain't first, huh?
Nope.
Pat P, you know what time it is. Man, here's where we show love to other individuals who've been balling this past week in the National Football League. It's our All Things Covered Award. We're dishing out 2 awards weekly for those individuals who lived up to the hype to our show name. and they have all things covered. Usually we do one offense or one defense, but hey, sometimes it could be a special team award. Whoever it is, whoever is covering everything, we like to show love to these guys and tip our hats. Even though we don't have a brim on, we'll tip it to them anyway. And this week, this week, man, we got to give one award to Justin Tucker. And the reason why I got my head down low, Pat P, because I was playing against Justin Tucker in fantasy. And at the time, I didn't realize, I forgot I was playing against Justin Tucker. And it was like, yo, Justin Tucker just hit a 66-yard field goal. I'm like, dang, man, that's big time. That's big time. I checked my app. I said, oh, dang. Man, I'm playing against Justin Tucker. This man gave me like a kicker 20 points. I think it's like 20 points in fantasy football. No, you don't know too much about fantasy football, Pat. That's huge. A kicker, a pretty good day fantasy wise for a kicker would probably be like 9-10.
Yeah.
He doubled that.
Matt, going back to the college team.
Yeah.
I see why you want to watch the Florida State games by yourself now, dog.
Oh. That's what you do?
I'm not bringing it up to make fun of it, because I actually watched them this weekend. And I was like, oh, this is why Mac be talking about.
It's tough, Pat P. It's tough, man. Listen, man. I'm glad I don't drink, because, man, I'd probably be abusing some type of substance right now. I got watched by myself. Man, listen, man.
It ain't gonna lie. It's tough to see them boys like that, Mac.
It's tough. It's tough out there right now, man. We got to just, man, hey, the only way we're going to make it right, man, the guys that got the uniform on got to make it right.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Jesus.
It's tough. But, yeah, Justin Tucker kicked a 66-yard field goal and pissed me off because I had played against Justin Tucker in my fantasy. And then the second award is Jamal Agnew. He tied the NFL record, 109-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown against the Cardinals. Yeah. They tried a 68-yarder. He took it back 109.
Yeah, that was big.
Huge. And now it's time for 7 questions. 7 questions is where we get a chance to interact with you, the listeners and the viewers. If you want your question to be answered in the future, leave a question attached to a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we may get to it on this show. This question comes from, on IG, Super Athletes. Thank you, Super Athletes, for this question. Of course, he's a guy who's from Broward. I follow him, and we on both platforms, Twitter and Instagram. Question for both of us. Who is the greatest player to ever come from the 954? The 954 is the area code of Broward County. Granted, you still have 786, 754, but of course, it's been known forever to be the 954. So his question is, who's the greatest player to ever come from Broward County? Ooh.
For me, it's easy for me.
Who you got?
Man, R.I.P. Tyrone Moss. Moss, he was, man, to have opportunity to see not only the attraction from the crowd, but some of the things he was able to do in games, just the magnitude that, that the games were, that he came alive in. Man, the dude was a creative player in high school, man.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was a little bit of a Maurice Jones-Drew with a little bit of Brandon Jacobs. So he was round and thick, but he was about 6 foot and brought that thunder like a Brandon Jacobs. And he was fast.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't catch him when he got out in the open.
One of the best running backs out of Broward County.
Yeah, and you knew he was running the ball 40 times a game.
Couldn't stop him.
You knew he was getting the ball 40 times a game.
You couldn't stop him.
No doubt about it.
Oh, greatest ever. Martavius Houston, who went to Auburn, was special. I think he went to BA, Boyd Anderson.
Yeah,
man, it's so many from Broward County. Never really took off professionally like how many people thought he would. But Jimbo Fisher talked about him all the time, because I think Jimbo was at Auburn and said he never seen an athlete like that ever in his life. And Marte was in high school around like 215, 220 playing safety. And he ran the 100 and he ran the 4x1, a superstar on the track and a superstar on the football field. So I'll say Martavius Houston might be a name that many people might not remember or who may have not heard of before. But the player that I'll probably say when you talk about NFL wise, who went on to do great things in the league, and of course he has a gold jacket, I'll say Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce.
And, you know, he went to Dillard.
Yep.
He just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. So, hey, that's a good question, man. Super athletes, man. We can have a discussion about that on and on and on about best players, because you still got Pat P, you got Asante Samuel, you got Lamar, man.
Yeah.
You got a whole bunch of people, man. The list.
I think who is it Ruggs from
No, Judy Ridley.
Okay, I thought people that was from Alabama was from Florida too. So yeah,
Ridley and Judy.
Yeah,
I think them boys went to Monarch. No, Judy went to Deerfield.
Yeah, Judy went to Deerfield.
Jay went to Deerfield. Man, we can help with the all-time roster would be huge to do. Yeah. But we ain't got enough time to do that. But thank you for that question again, super athletes. Now it's time for shout-outs. We want to remind everyone that you can find us on Instagram at All Things Covered Pod. Each week we give clues for our next guest, and the first person to guess correctly gets a follow and a shout-out on the pod. Shout out to @ATrainAching for correctly guessing Chris Carter, who was our guest last week. Again, follow us at All Things Covered Pod for the very best content from the show.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to everyone for listening and watching. We'll be back again Thursday, where you can expect all things to be covered. Peace.